Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee, the podcast on the business of video production.
Creatives Grab Coffee is hosted by Dario Nuri and Kirill Lazarov from Labs Productions. Our goal is to share knowledge and experiences from video production professionals around the world. Whether you're a freelancer looking to start your own business or a seasoned business owner aiming to scale your company, this is the show for you.
Join us as we develop a community of like-minded creatives looking to learn and help each other grow. Welcome to the business of video production. Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee.
Before we get started with the show, let's go over today's sponsors.
Do you have a shoot in Toronto? Do you need crew or a strong production partner to help you with your project? Labs Productions is one of the top production companies in Toronto and your go-to video partner.
With our strong creative skills and extensive network, we can help you achieve your goal. Labs Productions is able to offer you production services, white label services, or finder fees for project handoffs.
Reach out to us on our website at labsproductions.com to learn more.
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group fan packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all gonna have a real good time.
Creatives Grab Coffee is on Patreon. Help support the show by becoming a patron via the link in the description and get exclusive access to
full uncut episodes, all reels and highlights at episode release, live shows and call-ins, ability to request cities and guests, and updates plus BTS content. Join now via the link in the description to get access to all the knowledge our guests have to offer. And now, let's begin the show. So, where did we leave off in that 30-second conversation?
We got real deep there, yeah.
We got real deep. So, Emmy award-winning filmmaker, amazing. You're like the first that we have on this podcast.
Hold on, we might be insulting some people if they did win some Emmys and we say like we didn't, they didn't.
Well, no one mentioned it, so.
Oh.
The first to show off.
Maybe there is
the first to show off their Emmys
yeah, maybe
on the
they're
podcast.
Maybe they're a little more modest and didn't work them conveniently into the background of their setup.
We get it. It's for the clients. It's for the clients. So they're like, ooh, trophies.
Exactly. Everyone loves the trophy. All right, well, let's get this party going. Okay, so today we got Pat from Path8 Productions, based out of Boston. So Boston guest number 2 on the show. Welcome to the show, Pat.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's kind of dive into it. Pat. Sorry, I was gonna say your name doesn't really need much explanation as to why you chose that name for your business, but tell us a little bit about you and your business.
I wonder if his company's called Pat or Path8. Maybe H is maybe H is part of his last name. You know, his last name starts with.
It is. It's Henderson. His last name.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a reason.
Oh, that tripped me out.
There you go. Nice to meet you, Dario. So the name, I get asked that a lot, and most people, it's pretty obvious. My name's Pat Henderson. I started as a freelancer, Pat Henderson Productions, for a long time, and then I got to the point where the company was getting to where I was using a lot of freelancers myself. I didn't have any full-time employees at that point, but it was more than just me, and I wanted to come across as that, more than just me on productions and with clients. So, you know, they're not expecting that it's you there all the time or that it's you doing every part of the process. So in thinking of a name, I took a while, thought up as many names as I could, went through a lot, worked with some other people on it, and everything just kind of felt forced. And then, thought of, my name and my first initial of my last name kind of makes a word there. And it's a word that kind of works and has like some meanings that you can intertwine into this. And where does the 8 come from? Everyone asks that. Actually, recently, I realized that my last name is 8 letters, so it really kind of ties into my name. Definitely a happy accident there. Honestly, the real reason is because 8's my favorite number, and there was already other Path productions, but I didn't just stop there. I Googled Path8 to see if there was anything, and there's life paths. It's like a zodiac thing or whatever those are. And the life path 8 had some good meaning to it about like a never-ending trying to achieve greatness, something like that. So I thought that was a nice tie-in. So the fancy answer is, it's based off of these life paths, blah, blah, blah. But the real answer is...
That's what you tell the client.
Is it my name? It's my name, and it's my favorite number, and it works. So yeah, we have 6.5 employees now, so if we get up to 8, maybe I cap it there, and then I make that the real reason. But yeah, that's kind of what went into that name. I wish I had a cooler story about it.
I mean, it is the more SEO friendly way of changing a name for your business, It pretty much keeps most of it the same.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't a big leap from Pat Henderson Productions. The other thing is that I was really happy about, it's a way shorter URL than Pat Henderson, PatHendersonProductions.com, and I was always trying to shorten that. But the kicker is, on my website is path-8.com, which I wanted to get just path8.com, but somebody else already has that. They've been squatting on it. I tried to buy it. They don't respond, but it renews every year on my birthday. So my wait list, I get an alert every year from GoDaddy saying the domain's been renewed. You can't have
What's
it.
with all these coincidences on your name? There's so many weird coincidences on your name.
It all just ties together, I guess.
Oh,
Nice.
man.
So how long have you been in the business then?
Yeah, so I had done video production like back in high school, and I was really into it, and I was good at it. And going into college, I wanted to do video production, but really the options coming out of college at the time, I went into college in 2004, were, like movies, news station, that sort of thing were what I was looking at as far as like prospects after. So I said I wasn't really super interested in those. So I went to college, got a marketing degree. After college, I was working at a medical device company on the marketing team, and really missed the video work. So I started up, freelancing on the side, doing some weddings. I had one corporate client that I was able to get, and kind of started to build that up. I was able to do a couple video projects at my company, but it was never going to be my job there. So after 4 years of working there, that was in 2009 when I started this officially, I guess, and went to the city of Boston, the Public Health Commission. I worked there for 4 years as a multimedia producer, doing all their video and some graphic design, and continued to grow my freelance work on the side, which was Pat Henderson Productions back then. And then in 2016, after 4 years there, left, and then went to work part-time for the Red Sox, part-time for myself, kept building up the company while I was at the Red Sox and taking away time from there until the point when I 100% left there and just worked on Path8, what it became, and then that's how I got here.
Nice. So you've been doing you've been running Path8 as a company itself for how long now?
So it's been running as a company now since 2009 is when I started that. When it switched over to Path8, I think we did that in 2018, and then was all freelance still for a while, and then worked into I added our first employee to join the team was in 2019, and then 2020 a second, and now we have, including myself, 6 full-time employees and a part-time producer as well, plus our crew of freelancers that we use for a lot of the work.
Do you find that there was like a bigger shift? How big was that shift going from the freelance and kind of like switching it to the business side? Like basically like when you changed the name, that's when you started hiring people. Was it kind of like a natural progression, or was it kind of, all right, I need to, once I turn into a company, then I'm going to start looking for people to bring on board? Was it something like that?
It honestly, it sounds nice that way, and I could say I planned it, but really the way that I've kind of taken everything here is just one step at a time, where I get to a point where I see, okay, there's a lot of work now. Like, I was using all freelancers, and that was my plan, was just to continue to use all freelancers, because there's really no risk or overhead. It's like you have a project that comes in, you know how much you're going to get out of that project, how much you need to pay the freelancers to do it, and then what's left there is what you kind of take home from it. So, and having employees, especially non-shooter editors, where you can tie that into, okay, that's replacing this amount of freelance work. It's really the producer side and the operation side's taking work off of my plate, which isn't directly a line item that I could like point to. So, you know, I kind of took it as we got busy enough where I said, there's always going to be at least work for a shooter editor. That will take off some freelance. So I kind of ran some numbers, figured that out, hired a shooter editor. Then, you know, was really busy. The operations were getting out of hand. I hired somebody to take on operations, and then they eventually also luckily had the skill set where now they do all of our content producing as well. So breaking down everything after a shoot. So going through all the interviews, creating the outlines, kind of writing scripts. They're really good at that. So they kind of took both of those off the plate, which allowed us to scale better because we're not putting that content work on a freelancer or not taking my time to go through all these transcripts and make scripts and do that while I'm trying to do everything else. And then from there, it was adding another producer, adding a shooter editor as well, who we have a weddings business as well. He kind of took over the weddings business because I needed to get that off my plate. And then also does work for Path8. We recently added an animator full-time, which has been really handy because we do a lot of animation work. So yeah, now we're up to a team of 6, and it's kind of just been evolving over time. If you ask me what's the team going to look like in 5 years, like I couldn't tell you. I kind of will see where the business is going and adjust based off of that.
That's pretty good though. 6.5 employees over the course of like 5 years. It seems like that's really good actually, because a lot of the times like making the switch to adding more people is quite a difficult process. Like I know Kirill and I have discussed it in the past, but like we're pretty nervous on that front. I guess maybe if we had like a huge influx of projects coming in, then we would consider it a bit more seriously. But I'm just wondering from your end, like, did you set aside like a rainy day fund in case like maybe work dried up at some point? Because you have quite a few people on your staff right now, right?
Probably should think about doing that. No, I mean, I get to a point where I was comfortable enough with the money the business was bringing in and knew we had a little bit put aside where if like everything stopped for a couple months, we'd be fine. But really where the like assurance came from that is just the consistent work that we have from certain clients, and just knowing, okay, you know, if everything falls off, these clients are at least coming in with this work consistently over the last couple of years. So the likelihood of all those clients just stopping all their work at the same time is low. And also, you know, that's just part of the risk of having a business, I guess. And if everything dried up, like, you know, we'd have to adjust and we'd have to figure out and probably make some tough decisions. But luckily, it's not a problem that we've had. And I kind of also go into everything with the mindset of that could happen at any time. So I'm just always hungrily looking for new business and looking for ways to further assist our current clients, and just not like resting on our laurels of we made this much this year, we're definitely going to make more than that next year. I'm like, crap, we made this much this year. Like, that's a lot of pressure to make that again. And then hopefully we can make more. So just like, I think a lot of it is a mindset and just being fortunate enough to have some amazing clients who value the work that we do and keep coming back for more.
So it's all essentially about calculating the risk tolerance that you guys have for bringing in people in the future based on how your relationships with your clients are, right? It's not a matter of we should just hire a bunch of people, but also have like $1 million in the bank and as a reserve just in case everything just stops. It's just a matter of having that calculated risk. Because we've talked to a lot of people on the show who've it's been a lot of aggressive expansion with some of them. And when they were telling us about how they did it, it worked for them. But Dario and I are thinking to ourselves, like, we can't just aggressively expand like that. Like, we can't hire 3 to 5 people in 1 year. But you did it very slowly, which I think lends itself to your calculating the risk tolerance of what you can afford if something happens, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's never going to be like, okay, I'm guaranteed that this person is going to fill in X amount of work and it's going to be a positive on the money side of things, and there's no chance that this could go wrong, and there's no chance that we're going to need to, something's going to happen. Like, there's always a risk. I think a lot of the way I look at business and just kind of everything is like, don't let great be the enemy of good, and kind of not letting, you need to think things through, but also like don't overthink. Like, just kind of common sense of, all right, we're making this amount of money, like that's enough money to sustain an employee. Let's try it. I went one at a time every time we hired someone. Got to the point where, all right, we're in, that person's settled, we're doing comfortably, we're still growing. Let's go. We could use another person to really help us out. Let's add them. Like, for instance, the person that I hired this past June to kind of run the wedding side of the business, that was a side of the business that was getting less and less of my attention as the corporate side grew, where I was like a huge bottleneck there and I wasn't bringing any value. So I'm like, if I can, and this guy, he had came to me and he was a freelancer while he was finishing college and was awesome. He did great work, and was really impressed by him. And I'm like, how is there a way to get him involved in the company? We already have a shooter editor. I don't know if we need 2, but if I offset his costs with the wedding work, then that also opens him up to do corporate work, and that's kind of bonus time there. So kind of figuring out ways to creatively handle things, I think helps as well.
I like how you kept the wedding business as another income stream as well, because like a lot of people that start in our industry, they start with weddings being a portion of like the freelance income, and then as soon as they can make the transition to 100% corporate, they just leave the weddings behind. But I like that as a business you still kept it in like your portfolio, right?
But the difference, Dario.
Yeah, exactly.
The difference, Dario.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the difference, Dario, that you might be referring to is that a lot of those other people freelanced for
No.
weddings, right?
A lot
So
of
they're
them.
working
No, a lot of other guests started their own company,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and then
yeah.
as soon as they made the transition to corporate, they like left it.
Right.
Yeah, I like how he still kept it as like another source of income. Because even though like he was becoming too busy with stuff, he just put someone else in charge of it. He's still getting that stream, and he's focusing on the corporate.
And it's good because it's offsetting you're essentially using some of the same team members that would be shooting on the wedding or working on the wedding side to help support on the corporate side, and vice versa. So if one business is like a little bit slower a few months, the other one can kind of help supplement it a little bit as well. So that's very smart.
Thanks. Yeah, with the weddings, just pumping my tires over here. So I feel like what you were saying, Dario, that's like what everyone does, right? You start with weddings because it's really low barrier to entry. You get your feet wet, you kind of get to operate a business a little bit. And then once you get busy enough with the corporate, you don't want to work on weekends and you leave weddings. But the way that I was able to kind of build up the wedding business, I was shooting and editing everything myself. It was a lot. I was working a full-time job, working my freelance stuff on the side, and then also working weddings. So I was just always working. Yeah. Missed a lot of summer weekends. My wife wasn't loving that time of our lives, probably. Did a lot of stuff alone, but and able to build that up. And then, eventually I was like, okay, I think if I treat somebody the edit side of how we do things, I can hand off the editing. Then got comfortable with that, handed off all the editing. Then I'm like, all right, I can't film. Like I was filming, I don't know, 20 weddings a year. It's like, I can't film 40 weddings a year. I mean, I physically could, but not really. I
Compromise.
So
I can, but I can't.
Found some other people. Yeah. If I want to still have a wife and a life. But yeah, so found some people who I was comfortable with, brought them in, and then kind of, kept it to where we're at now, where we do around 30 to 40 a year. And I think the most useful part about the weddings business, other than that, I think that we do provide a great service for the clients that we work with, and we love working with those couples. But it doesn't take much of my time at all. I do like the sales calls with the couple. I generally kind of oversee things, make sure all the edits are looking good and everything like that. But what it really is, like I was saying, supporting that salary. It's also a great way to build up your freelance crew. You can test people out in the wedding grounds, and if somebody can film a wedding, they can definitely film an event, and they can probably film anything else, because it's a really difficult shoot. Like if you think you're out there, you're covering a whole day's event that has 200 people there, super important moments that can never get redone, and you're out there and you're getting good stuff and making it happen, like you can transition to the corporate side of things so much easier. And it's a great way to kind of vet people. And I've gotten some of our best freelancers that we use on the corporate side from going through the wedding side.
Yeah, because even when they're freelancing, when you get a freelancer that does weddings, like they need to have that like social skill of dealing with so many different people throughout the day, and that transitions really well into like corporate, because you're dealing with someone else's clients, and you got to be like on your best behavior and like be able to break the ice. And also about like thinking on the spot, improvising really quickly. The only thing that they'll always lack is just lighting skills with actual lights. Natural light will be easy because you just figure it out, but with actual lights, that's the part that you still need to have that corporate experience to figure out for like interview setups and whatnot.
But as a starting point,
yeah,
is good. It's a
It's
good
a great
starting point,
starting
especially
point.
like essentially if you're getting, like you said, if you can get people with all those natural skills, of just kind of like the drive and dedication to do work, knowing how to problem solve, which is huge in our industry. And weddings are a great way to teach that to you very quickly, because you're probably like doing like 10 problems that you're solving every single wedding that you're doing at the very least. So all the technical stuff can be taught later. Like I'd rather get someone who has a lot of those good like social skills, problem solving skills, rather than someone who's like super technically proficient, rather than the opposite, someone who's very proficient but can't talk to clients, can't it just has like low energy on set. That's the thing you can't teach, right? And it's just a matter of trying to find the right type of people to work with, right? That's the most important thing.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's something that I'm always saying, is you need to have the people who have the right attitude, right personality, just to come off the wedding thing. But you're working like long days on weekends, filming, problem solving, dealing with, like, you're in people's homes on a really important day of their life. If you can deal with that, a corporate stuff's going to be easy. And yes, like there's stuff like lighting and different types of audio and even the shots and whatnot that you get are going to be different on the corporate side. But it's way easier to teach somebody the technical skills, or to improve upon their technical skills, or convert them over to the corporate, than it is to teach somebody drive and motivation and personality and dealing with clients. That is also, to me, the most important part. There's so many, like you guys interview video production companies all the time. There's so many video production companies out there. There's so many that can do the work that we do. There's just a lot. So where do we kind of stand out? It's the experience on a shoot, the experience of working with our team, our processes, just making sure everything from the time that we first talk to the client to when we deliver the final videos, and then beyond into working on further videos, that process is super smooth and enjoyable, because it's like for our clients, that video is one thing they need to do in their day out of a plenty of other tasks, and we want to make that piece enjoyable, easy, and not something that's a headache for them, which it could easily be in the wrong hands.
Do you have a shoot in Toronto? Do you need crew or a strong production partner to help you with your project? Lapse Productions is one of the top production companies in Toronto and your go-to video partner.
With our strong creative skills and extensive network, we can help you achieve your goal. Lapse Productions is able to offer you production services, white label services, or finder fees for project handoffs.
Reach out to us on our website at lapseproductions.com to learn more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all gonna have a real good time.
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group band packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
As we're diving back into it, is there any particular standout production story or something within the business that that you find memorable or like a good learning experience that you've had?
A lot of learning experiences that we've had, and usually that comes from when things go wrong. Recently a lot of it's been, and when things go wrong to an extent, right? Like there's things that go wrong where the client never will notice because it's just stuff that we would notice and we're able to work through it. And then there's things go wrong when it does get to the client, and that's the worst things that can happen. But as far as an experience on the good end of things, because that was part of your question, so I'll focus on the good stuff.
Yeah.
One of the coolest experiences I had was when working with the Red Sox. Right after they won the World Series, myself and another person on the video team were able to go down to Alex Cora wanted to bring the trophy back to his hometown. So we were able to go with him for the day. So JetBlue gave us a plane. It was, a handful of employees, a couple of the players, Alex Cora, one of the owners. We got on a plane, flew down to Puerto Rico, filmed everything, followed him around through the day. We flew for 4 hours. We were there for 4 hours. We flew 4 hours home. It was a wild day. But that was such a cool experience, just kind of being able to dive right in, see what, see all the culture down there and everything that we were driving a bus from the airport, and there was just people pulled over on the side of the road. And this was 20, 30 minutes from where we were going with signs for
That's
them.
awesome.
It was just like to see that passion for like one of their own kind of making it to the biggest stage was just so cool. And to be part of that and then get to make a piece afterwards, it was amazing. But yeah, the Red Sox position is where I got a lot of really fun and cool stories out of that and those back there. But there's, I feel like on shoots and whatnot, different productions that we have now, I feel like there's at least one piece of learning that I take from everything, good or bad. A lot of it's like people-wise, things I could do differently, dealing with people and, crew and all that. There's so much that goes into all this that there's, a handful of learnings that comes out of every project, which I think is important to keeping up with things and to keep growing. I think Carol put you kind of on the spot, because I feel like when you're first starting out, the learning lessons are a lot bigger, so that they are a bit more like, okay, I have a story to tell there, right? But when you get, you're like 5 years into the business, at that point, then like the learning experiences are more like micro
learnings.
Yeah,
so
very
that
small.
they don't really stand out. So you put them on the spot, Carol.
I know. Well, it's something I'm trying with our guests. See what comes up. Something natural, right? But I the thing is the kind of learning experiences that we get now after being in the industry for so long is those micro improvements that Dario was talking about, but specifically ones that help improve the process. The whole process, whether it's in the pre-production, production, or post, I'm always looking forward to figuring out what we can learn from that, because every project can help. If it can help make the process smoother, more streamlined for the next client, for the next project, it just makes it makes everything a lot better, especially when you get opportunities like, for example, what you had there with the Red Sox. It's a great, unique story, but you were prepared, you adapted, you got to experience something like once in a lifetime thing. And it just works out for you at the end once you have a very strong process in place from all those learning experiences. So that's great.
Speaking of experiences, I'm a little curious, like on the employee end, because you just started hiring them in 2019, so it's been a couple years since then, and you've hired quite a few, I would say, like going from freelancing to now you have like a staff of like 6 people, right? I'm just wondering, like, what would be some lessons you would give to people that are just starting to maybe think about hiring someone, or they're currently in the process of hiring people for their team, and they're coming from like a position of they're usually the sole person running everything.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't feel qualified to give that advice right now with how much I'm still learning on that. Like you were talking about the stuff you learn. Like in the early days, you're learning like, if I shot that a little bit better or differently, or if I, use a different lens, like that's the stuff you're learning. Whereas now, everything I'm learning is managing people and processes, and just trying to make that as streamlined as possible, put everyone on our team in the best position to succeed, and just, be used to having a team. I think when hiring, which I've done a few times now, every position that I've hired for has been a little bit different. I think the easier things to hire for are shooters, editors, things on the production side, because people have a reel. You can give them a test shoot, give them a test edit, stuff like that. On the producer side of things, it's a little harder because, it's a lot of just filling out the right personalities, making sure that they're on top of things. So one of the things that we do in our hiring process, we do I do a posting. From there, I select down to X amount of people, whoever I think passes that initial phase, and I send them a little bit of a project, not so much a project they have to work on, but they send a recording to me. Depending on the position. So for shooter editor, send a recording to me answering a couple basic questions, who they are, their backstory, what they think they're best at, what they need to work on. And then they show me a project, send me a link to one, and they kind of talk through it. What went well, what they could have improved on, how they would have done stuff differently in retrospect, something like that. Producer end, very similar. But that kind of really, without even talking to the person yet live, one, a lot of people don't do it.
Oh,
then that helps you kind of narrow it down. And then two, the people that do it, you can really get a sense of who they are, bring in the next people into the phase where you actually interview them. And then down the road, we have a couple more little things. So as an interview process, it's a little more drawn out, I guess, or a little more involved than some companies might do. But when you have a company that's so small, it's not like you're hiring 10, 20, 30 employees that year or month or whatever it is. You're taking on like an employee a year maybe or so. So you have to be making sure that those are good hires. And luckily, so far, we've had really good experience with the people we brought on, and they've been able to help us grow and scale.
Have you noticed that your workload has decreased since you've brought on more people, or do you think it's just like increased in other ways? Because like a lot of the other guests that we've spoken to, they said that we asked them like okay, you brought on more people because you thought like you'd be getting less work out of it, you get to relax a bit more, and they said no, it's the total opposite. It's actually like a lot more work now.
100%. more work. It's just different work, right? Like initially your work is, oh man, I got a backlog of videos to edit. Like I got to sit down and hammer these out. Where now, like my day is
Emails.
half on calls, half emails, and then on top of that, reviewing videos, giving feedback, making sure everyone's on top of things. I mean, just Mondays in general. Mondays we have a team meeting, then I have individual meetings with each person on the team. That's Monday from start to after lunch is just chock full, just right through it. So then, you're catching up. So it's just like, I don't know if there's ever a point where the work gets less. I guess that's probably a bad thing if that happens, because what it does, having the employees that are able to take the production side off, it opens you up to being able to do more sales and look at your processes, come up with more systems, marketing, all that stuff. And there's really no end. It's not like you're ever like, okay, I'm done selling now. I'm good for the year or whatever it is. You're just always working at that. So it's an endless amount of work, really.
It's interesting how you mentioned how like the work kind of stays the same, but it's just different types of work, right? And I noticed that recently when it came to project handoffs for editing, right? Because we were doing all of our own editing up until 2021. Or I mean, like we would occasionally hire here and there, but most of the time it was us that was editing. And then in 2021, we started to go dive in, hire a lot of editors. And then from then up until this year, we only hired editors and they were doing all of our client projects. Recently, though, we noticed because there have been like some fluctuations in work, I would occasionally take some editing projects, but these are ones that were small. And the way I started kind of figuring out what to hand off to editors and what to take on is, all right, how long will it take me to explain what is expected of this project to the editor, what we need to do, how we need to do it, this and that. Here's the goal, the vision, to like the time that it takes to brief the editor. I'm like, could I just take those, say 2 or 3 hours to just knock out pretty much most of the edit at that point? And then we're good to go, and then we don't have to do the back and forth. It's like, oh, that was good. Now, can you just do it with this and then wait another day or two for it to come back in? It goes to show it's like you're figuring out time spent versus like how much has it really freed your time, right? So if you're going to hand off work to someone else, whether it's production or post-production or producers or coordinators, as long as the work frees up an exorbitant amount of your time to focus on other things, it's almost not worth it to bring those people on. It shouldn't be like a break even in hours. You know what I mean? It should be kind of like a profit of hours. It's like I spend 3 hours with this person to gain 10 hours. I shouldn't be spending 5 hours with this person to gain 3 hours. So you technically at a net loss in time spent.
Yeah.
You have to think of it like that.
And the thing with that is, at least initially, it's gonna take you more time.
Initially,
like you bring on someone, that it's like you gotta like even the first couple times you might send a project to an editor, you need to explain things more and whatnot. And it's like, is this really worth it? Like I could have done this myself. It would have been so quick. But you gotta kind of hope that over time those people pick up on what you're putting down, and you all of a sudden don't have to explain things as much. And I think a lot of the stuff with time savings has to do with systems. We use a lot of freelance editors, and a lot of the freelance editors, we use the same editors all the time. But whenever we bring in a new one, we have like a 5-part Google Doc that they can go through that breaks down every part of an edit from when we first get the files all the way to when they deliver the final. And it breaks it down in a Loom, a screen recorded video, as well as step-by-step written out. So I'm able to say, and it has all the logins and everything. So it's like, hey, I have a question. Here, look at these. This will answer any question you have. If there's anything on top of that, then we can talk it through. And something that I found too, when working with employees, clients, the best way to explain stuff, to brief people like you were talking about, is Loom. There's other screen recording softwares out there too, but like I must record 15 Looms a day. It seems like some days, like if I have to explain anything to somebody, I'm doing it through a Loom. That way you're not typing something up, thinking it through, typing more, like then they read it and don't see it. They're able to see everything and hear you explain it, and you're able to kind of really get your point across, and it takes you as long as it does to just talk. So, it takes you 5 minutes to explain something that it would take a half an hour to write up in an email. So I think that that's super helpful.
There was another guest that mentioned that they have like a document outlining like every single step. So you're definitely on the right track, because there's some other guests that use that method as well.
Yeah, I didn't think of it so much even for other parts of the process. Like maybe for example, Dario, like having a freelancer FAQ for, say, like specifically for cinematographers, specifically for post-production, but maybe also say, for example, talent, right? It's like, here is the Labs Productions FAQ or the Path8 FAQ for talent that comes in. These are the basic guidelines. These are
I think it's more so for, well, I don't know if it's useful for production, because like, what are you going to tell a cinematographer that he should already know? It's more useful for like if you're onboarding like an editor or an animator, or an animator, they already know what they're doing, right? It's more so for like editors, or I would say people like
it's even so much
production
more
coordinators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's more so like, obviously they know what they're doing shooting wise, but do they know like what color profile you shoot in, like what resolution, like all that stuff? Because that's also something that can very easily just be assumed. Like I might send someone, oh, they know what they're doing, and then they're like, oh, I shot in 1080 because this other company that I work for, they like it in 1080 because it's smaller files to send to their
That's part of the pre-production brief, though, right? Because that's always project dependent. So you should always be telling them, like, hey, we're shooting.
True.
Yeah, I think it's more so for like staff, if anything. It's more for staff.
Yes, staff and processes. I think if there's a specific process that you have to go through, like maybe for like in post-production, first is the rough draft, what it's going to be like. First, send it to us. We'll take a look at it. Then we'll send, and then that next one will be the thing that we send to the client as a rough draft. They put in their notes. They do it on this. They give it back. Like, yeah, I guess.
Or even for the editors, I would say like export settings. This is our way to export our project. So, like rough cut, we just need it like this. Final cut, please do it in these specific settings. Stuff like that, right? But for staff, I think for staff, it maybe these bigger companies, these bigger corporations probably have the same thing where they have like a whole manual set out, right? So
yeah. Why do you think they hire us for training videos every now and then, guys? Why do you think that's part of our business?
Yeah. We should just do training videos as well.
Just do it for ourselves, guys.
Pat, I have a quick question regarding, like, now you have a sizable team. I'm just wondering, what do you do to keep up like a team spirit? Like, do you do any group activities, or like, what do you like? How do you kind of elevate it above just a clock in, clock out type of job?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and something that I'm always working at, especially in what we do. We all work remote. Like, we don't have a central office. We see each other on shoots, but some of the team never really sees each other because, an animator doesn't really go on shoots, or our content producer and operations guy, he's at home. He doesn't come up. We have another person, the part-time producer, who's down in Atlanta. So, we don't really get together other than on shoots. But so what we've done is we see everybody on the team meeting every week. We do a monthly lunch where we all get together. At least the local crew gets together, and we just hang out, go somewhere for lunch, have a good time with that. Every summer, fall, I do a cookout at my house where I have our team, all of our freelancers, anybody who's kind of around. So I have that actually on this Sunday. There's like 35 people coming. It's always an awesome time, and just and we do a Christmas party as well, where we go to some fun place and get everybody there. And I think that those times are super valuable, whether it's the lunches, the parties. It's just like getting everyone together off of a shoot where you don't have to be so buttoned up, and you can kind of just hang and we like the only people that we continue to work with are like really good people to hang out with, back to what we were talking about as far as dealing with clients. So when you get all those people together and they might have like seen somebody on a shoot like 3 months before, or they've been like, I hear everybody talking about you, I've never met you. Just kind of getting everyone together and letting them kind of meet each other and hang out. It's always just like the best time, and definitely one of my favorite things.
That's a good thing to strive for, to find people to work with that you would grab a beer with, essentially, right? You know, someone that you would get together socially. I mean, it's not easy to find, you know, sometimes you have to make sacrifices. If you want to get someone who's really good at what they do, like maybe you'll hang out with them here and there, but it's not like he's your best friend or anything like that. But yeah, like I think that's definitely key. And throwing these like social parties, you know, for the listeners, it's not like just a classic pizza party like a lot of companies do. You know, it's something a little bit more involved, and I'm sure you have like a process for that as well, where, you know, just everyone kind of gets together and just enjoys themselves, right? It's not like it's not like a dry thing, right?
Yes, for sure. Like last year, our Christmas party was at Flight Club, which is like a darts place downtown Boston. We usually do something fun like that. Like we have the cookout coming up on Sunday. There'll be plenty of good food and drinks and everything. So it's a good time. Games to play. Everyone has fun.
Nice. So your whole team's remote, eh?
Yeah. So everyone works from their house, except when we're on shoots. We do that. We looked into getting an office, especially I think 2021 was the most I looked into it, because coming off the pandemic, like leases for commercial spaces were really affordable. But the two issues we ran into are, one, we wanted such a small space and there was so much space available that realtors weren't even getting back to us. Like, you're not even putting a dent in our inventory. Like, we need somebody to rent 30,000 square feet, not 15. There's that. I just really think like there's the camaraderie part that definitely comes from an office that I think would be improved if we had an office. But outside of that, I think everyone enjoys working from home. Everyone's able to kind of work, not necessarily more, but like more effectively, because you're not spending time commuting. I don't want to commute every day. And, you know, it's just like, and it's an overhead expense. We were talking earlier about taking on people. You look into what an office costs. I'd rather hire an employee, or at least have that be part of an employee's salary, rather than a space that, you know, we go to go to. If there was a studio, we looked into having a studio or something and trying to make some money off of that. But just like when it broke everything down, it just made the most sense to keep everybody remote. And yeah, it's working.
You sound
well
like
so
me.
far.
Kirill was like hell bent on getting an office this year, and I broke down the numbers.
Hey, you still see a value in getting it, so don't act like you don't see a value in it. But
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
not gonna lie. I would like it. I would like it, but the numbers.
The numbers now don't make sense. Like earlier in the year, we were looking and talking about it a little bit more, because one, it wasn't as expensive as we were thinking it would be. But that at the end of the day, when we broke down the numbers and we realized, you know what, we should probably hold off at least for a little bit so that we can grow the business a bit more. Like we were coming from a state where work was coming in pretty steady. So we're like, yeah, this should be pretty consistent for the year. And then, you know, the economy kind of like tanked for a little bit. So work was still coming in and we're still in the green, which is good. But if we had gotten an office
We'd
or
be
a
in the
studio
red.
space, we would be in the red. So it's about finding the right time, and if you're going to invest in something, invest in talent initially, you know, so that you can at least get an initial return on investment, because getting a space is not going to yield you a return on investment unless you turn it into a separate business that can actually bring in rentals, right? So because you were saying you looked into a studio to see if like, oh, you can make that a bit of income, but that's now another business that you have to spend a lot of money on to get it off the ground. That's one. Two, a lot of time and effort. And three, that's going to take time and effort away from the other businesses. So that's also going to suffer for a little bit. So you can't win in that sense.
You know, another thing about the studio space, this is for people that maybe have not listened to all the other episodes, but this has come up. If you get a studio space and you don't own the property, you're just renting it. If there's no rent control, they could easily just, if they want you out of there, they could increase it like tenfold. And then all the investments you put into that place are now moot, because again, you won't be able to afford the new lease and you got to go out.
Not to mention all the investment you spend to turn that space into a workable studio, you know, getting a cyc wall, getting overhead lighting and everything.
Yeah.
You have to put like maybe $10,000 to $20,000 just
No,
to
way
make it
more, Kirill.
workable.
Way more than that.
I know. I'm just saying as like a bare bones kind of thing, right? But yeah, probably a lot more depending on how big the space is. If they get you out of there, boom, there go that 20 grand just evaporates instantly like that. And it's
unless there's rent control in Boston for commercial properties. Here in Toronto there isn't, so it's like you're at the mercy of the landowner.
Yeah, you could sign like some of the places we were looking into were like 5-year leases, so then you're controlled for like 5 years, but it's definitely going up after that. And like you said, if you build out a cyc wall and anything you build in, you got to remove it when you're done there. Yeah, I feel like a studio works if you're a company that does a lot of studio shoots, because then you can, you know, you're spending $1,500 a day to rent a studio. Well, that comes back to your pocket, and then that starts paying for it. Most of the work we do is at clients' locations or at homes for testimonials or whatever it is. We rent studios, but you know, it's maybe 10 times a year. That 10 times a year of renting a studio is not nearly going to offset all the costs that go into it. And like you said, and I'm like, all right, this could be another stream of revenue, but another stream of revenue is more work. So either I don't have time for it, so then we have to bring in somebody else to do that, and then that's all of a sudden more expensive. And you know, it's like for what you get out of it. And I think that a lot of people just look at it as, all right, I'm a production company, I need a studio, like I need to look legit. And all that kind of stuff, where it's really for that more so than anything that makes sense on the business side. And your clients, like some of them, you know, the certain clients, they might care and they might be like, oh, I want that feel of like this cool production company that has this cool studio. But 95% of
I think
clients,
99.
they just
I
want
think
their video
99%
done.
don't care.
Yes, 99. No, and they don't. They're also paying for that. Like you're going to be bumping up your costs a little bit to offset some of that. So they want their project done. If they go to a studio that you own or a studio somebody else owns,
the same cost.
They don't.
It's the same cost at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, like if you find yourself doing that's the perfect way to do it. The one time, one of the main times where it will make sense to get your own studio space is if you're doing a lot of studio work. So like if, say for example, you find that rent is like $3,000 or $5,000 a month, but you end up doing studio shoots at least 4 or 5 times a month. Like usually studio costs are like $1,500 to $2,000 per day rental, right? So you're already, if you can book 5 days like that, boom, that basically the client is funding your studio and you get to keep it, right? That is the smart business approach to kind of owning one. If you're just doing it just for the sake of it, just to look cool, as you said, that is the worst business.
The worst. That's not what a business person.
That's not
does.
a business. That's not a business.
You want to know you want to know an easy way of doing that? You go to a studio rental place and say, look, I'm gonna need a studio space 5 to 8 times a month. Work out something with me, and I'll use you exclusively for that. You get a discount on the place, and you get guaranteed bookings. Like, why would you take on that risk otherwise? Like, just work out a deal with a studio space. You know how many places you go to and mention that, they'd say sure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
guaranteed
and
income for them.
Places like Peerspace and whatnot that, you know, you also might not want the same type of studio every time. So like we use Peerspace a lot, unless we're shooting something that's like on green screen or on white. Like you probably want to mix up your environment depending on the client or the story that you're going to or whatever. So we rent Peerspaces and can get so many different looks, from like a home type look to like a loft or whatever. Like there's a lot of variety of what you could get there, and you can rent it by the hour. So it's like, you know, you need a half day shoot, you just rent a studio for a half day. It's easy, it's all set up, you just pop in, set up, and you're good.
Yeah, we get it though. It would be nice to have a studio, you know, but it has to make financial sense to some degree at the very least. If you could at the very least break even on it in terms of how many times you use it, sure, or at least close to break even, because having your own space can sometimes foster better work processes for the other parts of the work. But at the same time, like you said, if you have team members from different states, different regions, it's going to be hard to get people to come in on a daily basis. And it doesn't make sense to do the hybrid approach. Then what's the point of owning a studio at that point? Exactly. If you do it like in the hybrid approach, you can book those like temporary workspaces or something like that for like once a week and get everyone together to kind of go over stuff. That might be a similar effect without actually having to own a full-on studio at that point. But
Oh yeah, that's actually probably the best approach. It's like you
That
got
is
one
the
of
best
those shared
approach.
spaces.
exactly, it's like,
Yeah.
say we want to get together with like a team on a particular project next week. It's like, all right, let's book a big meeting space from one of those shared spaces for the day. It'll probably cost like, say, $100, right, or $200 for that. Great, you got that productivity day. Everyone got together. You got to work together, have that camaraderie effect without that overhead. So you don't have to do it every week. So there's a solution right there, which I think maybe even Dario and I should start doing.
We're nearing the end because
There you go.
Pat's got to leave in 10 minutes. But before we finish off, I'm just curious about like the economic state for video production down in Boston right now, because we have the high interest rates, economy's not doing so well at the moment. I'm just wondering, like, have you noticed your work being affected, or maybe because of the specific industries you work with, there may not be an affected? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so I think that every industry's at least been a little affected. We work a lot in healthcare and in education, two industries that are aren't as affected by what's going on, necessarily all the time. Like as a year goes, this year has been better than last year for us, and there's definitely been some projects that have kind of fallen off based off of how companies are doing and things like that. But on a whole, there's still been a lot of work, and it hasn't been like something that's been a super noticeable problem as of yet. It's been more something where there's a handful of things that scaled back a bit or fell off and got pushed to later that maybe not have otherwise. But I mean, I feel like with anything, there's always going to be factors outside of your control, outside of what you can do, whether it's the economy or just trends or whatever's going on, and each business and how that business is doing at the time and all that. So if we're able to keep working with our consistent clients and all's good with them, and then we're able to keep looking for new clients, there's always going to be clients that need video. It's just a matter of finding them and making sure that you're the right fit with them. So I think that kind of, while that does affect, we try not focus on that too much, because it's really easy to use that as an excuse, right? To be like, we're not doing as good, like, it's because of the economy. But what can you do about the economy?
Nothing.
Zero. If you have, if you look into what am I doing that affects this? Oh, maybe, I'm not on as many sales calls, or I'm not reaching out to as many potential clients. Like, you can look at stuff that you can control and try to work on that to help overcome what might be a factor outside of your control that you have absolutely nothing you can do with.
That's a great outlook to have, and a very positive one at that, because we find like sometimes when we talk to certain people, it's like, the industry's not good, so not a lot of work is coming in. But it's like, you got to kind of take responsibility for that. If the work is not kind of coming in, you have to look at what's working and what isn't working, right? Like when the pandemic hit, that's what we had to do, right? We realized like, we didn't really have a business set in place. Let's fix that. So we did that. But now you have to keep that going, especially in the down periods. It's like, why are we not having any work at this time? Oh, it's because we didn't preemptively work on any sales or outreach a couple months prior. That's why we have no work coming in right now. So I think that's what every business owner in our industry needs to do, is to take responsibility for when times are down. And that's what makes a successful business, is being able to work through that.
Yeah, I think, in the nature of our work, it's like you get busy. So then you're like, crap, I'm too busy. I'm not going to be selling. But that's when you need to sell, because that busy is those projects finish up, and then you're like, oh, where's all the work? So, you need to keep feeding it no matter what. And, with, like you said, there's people that use it as an excuse or whatnot, or they do fall off on certain things. Like I was saying, there's so many video production companies out there that I think that that's what can help you survive long term, is to work harder and to kind of look at things a different way than some of those companies who might blame those external factors or start pulling back, and then all of a sudden, they're they're not around as long. So it's, trying to just control what you can control, do as much as you can do, and then hopefully that's good enough to keep things moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. Well, Pat, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing your experiences. And we look forward to keeping in touch and seeing where Path8 goes, or whatever the next iteration of Path8 is, right?
Thanks so much, guys. It was awesome to chat with you and be on here, and really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, man. Thank you. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Creatives Grab Coffee. Please make sure to follow and engage with us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed this content and want to hear more, you can get the whole experience on our Patreon at patreon.com/creativesgrabcoffee, or click on the link in the description.
You'll get access to full uncut episodes, all reels and highlights at episode release, live shows and call-ins, ability to request cities and guests, as well as updates and BTS content.
Creatives Grab Coffee is created by Labs Productions, a video production company based in Toronto, Canada.
Creatives Grab Coffee is also sponsored by... Do you have a shoot in Toronto? Do you need crew or a strong production partner to help you with your project? Labs Productions is one of the top production companies in Toronto and your go-to video partner.
With our strong creative skills and extensive network, we can help you achieve your goal. Labs Productions is able to offer you production services, white label services, or finder fees for project handoffs.
Reach out to us on our website at labsproductions.com to learn more.
My name is Miran. Welcome to Canada Film Equipment. We are a boutique rental house based in Toronto. We are here to help you guys out with all production sizes. Feel free to contact us to get a quote if you are a production house and you're looking for lighting, camera packages, or lighting and group band packages. You can see our contact information in the link below. We are more than happy to help you guys out. Make sure you follow and subscribe to creativesgrabcoffee.com. Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Matt. Welcome to Audio Process. We are a boutique audio company doing location sound, sound design, post-sound, ADR, Foley. We service equipment. We do all your audio needs here in Toronto. We got you covered. Come on down, audioprocess.ca. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and all of the other internet things to creativesgrabcoffee.com. They'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and we're all going to have a real good time.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.